Alright everyone, we start off today with our first video talking a little bit about this crazy story involving Andy Cuomo, because here's the funny part. The machine politics of New York arguably failed him, because initially he had come out, this was months ago, he's like, well, wait for the AG's report, the state attorney general's looking into all this Me Too nonsense, I didn't do anything wrong, and he used that sort of to stay in power. The story is worse than anyone could have suspected because it involves him literally co-opting the use of a craptivist group to try to get dirt on one of his victims. So he's gone, effectively. At some point he might resign. He's facing calls by basically everyone in the Democratic Party to resign. If he doesn't, he'll probably end up removed from office, and it'd be funny to see Andy Cuomo drag kicking and screaming away from the podium, which is no more than he deserves, by the way. First and foremost, keep in mind, links down below in a pinned comment. If you're watching this video on YouTube, keep in mind that I make 4 videos a day, but only 2 of them end up on YouTube. This could be due to the actual content, or it's more often due to the fact that I simply want to make more videos, but YouTube no longer rewards you for making more than 2. Arguably, I even screw myself by making more than 1 a day. It's not entirely clear, but then I'd have to sit there redowning all my videos and stuff, so I'll keep it at 2. But this is nuts, because what happened is you've got roughly a dozen people claiming that Cuomo harassed them sexually, or that he put his hands on them, did inappropriate things. His response, first and foremost, was insane. He had a video montage the other day, and this has now become the ultimate meme about the dysfunction of New York politics with regards to his behavior, because he had a montage of him hugging and kissing people, and he's like, well, I do this with people of all genders and all ages, LGBT and straight, black and white, I don't care. He pulled a Biden. Remember that when Biden came out and did his non-apology for the dozens of credible allegations against him, one of the things he said is, well, I'm sorry, I'm a very tactile person, I'll try better in the future, and of course he hasn't. Multiple times since then he's done the same thing. Of course that was a deflection. The allegations are of actual illegal impropriety. In Biden's case, he's deflecting and claiming, well, it's just about me being huggy. I'm a touchy-feely old dude from the 50s, so don't think too much about it. I'm not a creepy old man. I'm just from that generation. I'm basically like your snuggly grandpa. Now, of course, Joe Biden, meanwhile, ordering drone strikes on civilians, but we'll get past that for the moment. Yes, I do have kitty support out here. They're loving their new garden space. They'll love it even more once it's more green than stone. But I think the biggest bombshell really is that he tried to get the president, Alfonso David, of the Human Rights Council, what was it called? Human Rights Campaign, to dig up dirt on one of the people that was accusing him. He asked for, specifically for dirt on this individual. And Kitty, I don't really want you jumping up in that direction, because I don't think she could make the jump. She's got a little bit of pudge here. But I think that's totally damning. And this was a bombshell. This is after the AG report came out. This is a separate report. So Cuomo's political career is done. But here's what I wanted to say. Isn't it surreal that the Democrats that threw people under the bus left and right, including some Democrats like Al Franken, where you had a picture of him groping someone, so it's a little bit different. All of a sudden, with Cuomo, he had almost a dozen allegations against him, and they didn't bat an eye. They went right along with it when he said, well, just wait for the Attorney General's report. Did they do that with Kavanaugh? Did they do that with Trump? Did they do that with literally anyone else other than maybe Joe Biden himself? No. That's because Cuomo was on their short list for potential presidential contenders. Right now, there are no people within the Democratic Party capable of mounting a 2024 bid of any reasonable muster. Biden at that time is 82. He's demented. He probably won't be there at that point. I don't think they'll let him run again. His wife will probably prevent him. Kamala Harris is the most disliked VP since the early 70s. She's not going anywhere. she's clearly not capable of governing as president. She probably wouldn't even bother running for re-election looking at her polls. What Democrats are there? Cuomo was considered one of the top potential achievers, and here's the other thing. Cuomo killed 15,000 people in his state by not following proper guidelines and by not waiting until he actually needed the overflow to take the sick and put them back in their nursing homes. And the CDC's protocol was quite clear. If someone has COVID, you can keep them in the nursing home, but only if you have no other choice. in order to take pressure off the overflow in normal hospitals that affects people who aren't as old. So they had to prioritize the younger and healthy, oddly enough, at the time. Instead of following that protocol, he took those people and put them back in the nursing homes and infected 15,000 people. All while he had these allegations, all while overseeing the collapse of the state's economy via lockdownism. He still has a best-selling book on Amazon in which he proclaims himself to be a sort of messianic figure, and he was on the short list of people to run in 2024, because everyone knows Biden's probably not going to be there doing it. Everyone knows Kamala, if she did, she loses. He was basically, he was the next batter up. I think he should have been fired long ago for his COVID guidelines. He should have been fired for the Faucism, for the lockdownism. Should have been fired for the Me Too things from day one, according to the logic used at least a couple years ago by the Democratic Party at large. But instead, they said nothing about it. The legacy media, much like with Avenatti, who also turned out to be a scumbag, put him up on a pedestal, mainly because he was anti-Trump. That's really all it boils down to. He was considered a nemesis of Trump, and so therefore he could do no wrong. Orange man bad, therefore anything in comparison to him has to be at least tolerably good. We saw this for years and years at a time. So right now we have a bunch of morons and scuzzbags in politics that either don't know what they're doing or are uniquely corrupt, who are considered okay simply because they threw Trump. And look at Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney is one of the biggest vulture corporatists of our time. Think of binders full of women and killing Big Bird and all that stuff from, the campaigns he was in the past. All of a sudden, he's considered tolerable. The Bush family. George W. killed 500,000 people. He's considered palatable now because he said, I probably wouldn't vote for Donald Trump. It's completely stupid. Cuomo should have been out a long time ago. Now watch as his brother Chris Cuomo, Fredo, with the CNN crew, watch as he helps to protect him and say, well, he can't be pressured to leave. He's got too much work to do. It'll boil down to, we've got a pandemic going on. You can't switch boats in the middle of the river. Oh my God, we'll drown. We've got to keep Andy on. And then hoping that the story goes away slowly over time and people forget about it in that intermediate period. You watch, there'll be at least a half-assed attempt to do that. That's about all. Peace out.